In today's episode, we crash out. We crash out again, then we have a really good race. And another. And then the ultimate. Such is the roller coaster of Forza Motorsport multiplayer. I want to take you through the highs and lows of Forza's online racing, and in the meanwhile, you can judge how well my universally beloved GT car tunes compete in the top split. This is a tale of 3 races, as we get incrementally better with each one, and our setup gets increasingly more dialed in, as well as our racing sensibilities. We're at Mid-Ohio, one of my favourite tracks in the world, basically a smaller American Nordschleife, and this is actually my first ever online race on it. We're beginning at the rear of the grid again because I forgot to qualify as we start in 18th, getting past Vinny Dubs very quickly. We've managed to gain our first overtake, our first 2 overtakes actually within the first second or 2 of the race. So as far as the rear of a Forza Online lobby goes, this has actually been a very composed T1 as we get absolute chaos up in front. Guys going off the track, guys rejoining the track. It's one thing that Forza renders so well, as we're now in 12th place by the time we get to T2, 11th now. So slotting in behind UNR Elusive in the Trans Am, I want to say. We now try to get a really good run going towards the middle of the track. We slide out to the outside, try and stay out of everybody's way as much as possible as UNR Elusive decides to pretend we don't exist, and we take a jolly little gallivant off into the parklands.
Total time penalty is about a second.
And we get served a second penalty just for good measure. So great way to begin the race so far as the chaos on the rear of the grid unfolds as always. So we catch up to Vinny Dubs for the second time now, a cluster of 4 cars here in backmarking. Always a lovely experience here, the rear of the grid in Forza Motorsport Online. Doesn't really matter what split, doesn't really matter what safety rating, you're always going to find some very eventful things as Raptor decides to gallivant off towards his own picnic. One of the great things about having the track built on an actual park. Great, we get around the final turn. We get a good run on the 80s on the inside, so we're going to try and consolidate 12th position again. So that is the second time now we're doing this in the first lap. So far not too bad, but we go side by side with the C8R. Now perhaps I was a bit too non-committal about this, but we'll let him take the inside. They can have the grip as far as I'm concerned. The Porsche is a rotation machine, so on the outside we'll just let the engine rotate us, get on the power. A mite too early it seems. I kind of need to work on my ability to drive this car. We just cede that position, and moving on ahead, we manage to take the position from Glazed Donuts as we get completely broadsided, and he takes a jolly gallivant off into the parklands. So no penalty, all's well that ends well. Following behind the 80s yet again. A bit of chaotic driving from the 80s here. Definitely a very chaotic decade, so I completely understand. You've got to be stylistically true to what you are. So coming up to the end of the second lap, I still have a somewhat unsteady setup balance on this car. I was like nudging on the inside. Unfortunately, the curb pushes me out, so we get 2 minor collisions with the 80s there. My apologies for that. Not as clean as I would have liked for it to be. Part of that is due to this setup that I have. It's a little bit more rotatey than it is grippy, and that's something that we're going to actually sort out as we get through these races. This is the first one. This is where we kind of work our way through all of the issues as we get squeezed out wide by the M8. Braking nice and late here. Unfortunately, the M8 has the grip. Now, I don't know if he's right next to me, my kingdom for a radar, or at least a spotter, a nice Aussie to let me know he's on your right, mate. Right, clear. So now that the right is clear, we move on ahead to the start of lap number 4. So we basically just had the lap to ourselves, catching up to 9th. We're in the top 10 now, which feels good to have a little bit of space on the track as we go on the outside of the NSX there. I'm braking very hard. I thought I might actually rear-end the RSR there. He broke very, very early. Getting a pretty decent exit out there. The RSR kind of halfway out into the parklands, but didn't lose too much speed for it either. We managed to get a decent run on the inside, but no, we do the old switcheroo as he defends on us. So let's see how this goes. Brake at the 300 board, and I believe he may have outbraked himself. Another jolly gallivant onto the parklands. Great place for a picnic. As we lose another one on the left there, just absolute burnout by Elation. It's one thing I love about Mid-Ohio and Lime Rock and Virginia International. These American tracks are basically half rallycross, and there's always something crazy going on. As Elation just has a tendency to go off track. Just, you know, EA's WRC is only a few days out, mate. Just wait, it's fine. Just keep it to the asphalt for now. So, moving on forward, we're now competing for 5th place with Spartini coming up on the midway point of this race. There's a lot of lapping until we eventually caught up to Spartini here. Some very loose driving going on. Loose is fast in Forza after all, but maybe this is a little bit too loose, as I don't... Not my proudest moment yet again. I definitely should have laid off there. But all's well that ends well, and there's no contact penalty, and Spartini is still in the lead. So as we brake hard once more for the final turn. Now, I don't like the way that my car is wrapping around this. It should have more quality oversteer around that turn, just something that we're going to account for and fix in the future races that we're about to encounter. So you're going to see me improve as well as the tune of my car, as there's a 3 wide up ahead. The Corvette coming, or rather the Dodge Viper, as I get broadsided yet again. What in the hell was that? So MLG Snooper, hoping that we're not there, scooting on into the lead. So I decide to switcheroo on the inside here, and MLG Snooper decides to finish what he started there, and the Dodge Viper kind of helping him complete that maneuver. So we have been spun out now for the 2nd time in this race. Some lovely driving standards here in the top split. We spend the next couple of laps essentially catching up as well as we can. Spartini has gone, I don't want to say the Shadow Realm, I want to do my own take. Gallivanting through the multiverse, what do we call it? Phasing out of reality? I don't know, nothing is quite as catchy as the Shadow Realm, isn't it? So Steve really, he stole the good word. The Porsche boys are doing a lovely job. This is an F1 grade pit stop there, so I'm supremely happy with that tyre change. We get back out onto the track. We're now in 6th position, chasing behind Tsugen 1820, with Elusive going back into the pits, so that's good. No more scuffles on that front. So we're now in 5th,
3 more.
chasing down 4th. My goal for this race, given that there's only 3 laps left, is to end up somewhere on the podium. Now, whether or not that's possible, I don't know at this point. I've lost a lot of time from all the gallivanting we've done. But if we can take 4th, I'll be pretty happy with that. I can see that in sight. As we brake nice and late here, stay on the grip on the inside. Actually, not too bad. Probably the best I've done that corner so far in this race. Had a really nice exit through there. You can see reflected by the Delta as well. I haven't had a single good lap though. My best lap is a 1:25.6, so I know I'm about, I want to say 2 to 3 seconds off what I should be lapping. Meaning that we've had some very interesting scuffles in all of these laps as I get bounced off by the curb on the inside. Unfortunately, we have some contact with the C8 there. He holds the inside, but we managed to switcheroo the inside, going halfway off track in the true American spirit. As we fly over the crest, now solidly entrenching our lead. Now 3rd, Epic Lions, is 4 seconds, 4 whole seconds ahead of us as we get close to crossing the finish line for one last time, and that is all she wrote. We finish just out of the podium positions and somehow managed to maintain an S safety rating to get this little achievement. So I wasn't content to leave it here. My beautiful Grello, I feel, deserves to be on the podium, so we're going to take this one more time and see if we can correct for the errors of this last race. And here we are, back on the starting grid. Now, we've actually qualified this time. I wondered to myself why I was losing so much time that I only qualified in 3rd. Where was the missing second going? And my answer would soon present itself here on T1. If you would believe this utter arcade degeneracy, this using pit exits to extend the width of T1. Utter filth, absolute degeneracy. So naturally, on lap 2, I started perfecting the exact same line. And one could say that my methodology could use a little bit of work, so we're hoping that 3rd time will be the charm. As we go in fourth gear, slightly make it around, and we finally get the run out of that turn that we've wanted the whole time to keep up with second and first. Everybody else not using our glorious enlightened new line through T1, so they're falling well behind. Now catching up to Kevlar Red. Let's go Kevlar Red based on the livery of that Dodge Viper. We managed to cut in on the inside, do a really nice incisive line through this completely legal portion of track, as we now consolidate second place. And a little bit later on in the race, we're coming up to the halfway point. We're now behind GRX KX 7X in the mighty M8 GTE car. So a bit of a wider line from him there. Maybe the tires are running out. Know how that feels, that's for sure. Have to take it nice and easy because I'm getting that archetypal Australian netcode there. You can see from all the jittering. So nice and easy. We have all the time in the world to make this overtake, and the more that we fight, the more that Kevlar Red gets a chance to catch up from behind us as we manage to take the inside over the crest. Mr. GRX KX 7X just going a little bit too wide there as we entrench the lead coming up on the final turn of the track. Now things, I would say, all in all are going a bit more smoothly. We have not been completely collected, we've not been taken out yet. We've managed to keep it to the front of the grid, so no more back marker shenanigans. As we go into the pits on the 6th lap, now the Porsche boys doing a stellar job yet again, absolute world-class tyre change there. Now, Kevlar Red has come in just behind us. We're trying to gain as much time as we can here. We certainly don't want to be undercut in the pits as we lose first position to Ellison 06 HD. So I have a strong feeling that Ellison has not pitted yet. Ellison is going for the late pit strategy, so I know it's just a matter of time until I catch up. I'm on the fresh tyres. As Ellison goes into the pits at the end of this lap, I almost follow. It's one of the problems of target fixation. And now we have the racetrack essentially clear for us the rest of the way, as we cross the line on lap 11 out of 11 to take our very first place position here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Something I'm reasonably happy with, as you can see by my absolutely refined celebration animation there on the podium, that beautiful Grello. Right where it deserves to be, if you'd ask the Manthai boys, based on what they did recently at Hockenheim. So just trying to live up to the spirit of the team, you know. So what you're witnessing here is my final attempt at this race. I still didn't feel like the lead was dominant enough. So what you're watching here is my fastest ever qualifying lap on the track to this point. So we're getting a 1:22.737 on our third attempt, a good second and a bit ahead of second place. Starting in the shade, the game always thinking about our comfort, starting us with cold tires here leading into T1, exactly what we want. So no cars next to us, we managed to maximize T1, and now notice how differently my car drives. Take a look at this as we do that same approach on lap 2. Look at this, at speed. Something strike you as a bit different? So this is another 30 minutes of tuning the online version, or the online bop of this car, as we move fast forward to the midpoint of the race. We jump into the pits, the Porsche boys once again doing their very best with it. They seem to have a very consistent 2.717 time there, truly consistently world class. Like, who said Porsche shouldn't enter F1? Now I make a mistake as I come out of the pit exit. I seed the inside, so I seed the grip to LSR Design, which is a huge mistake. He's on old tires. I know there's just a matter of time until I catch up and overtake, so all I've done is allowed us to get tangled up and get in one another's way here. So what I really need to do is move on the inside, keep this really nice and clean, brake really late because I've got the new tires here, even though I'm off the grip. I brake nice and late, hold the inside, cut across. Look at that. Look at the way the car now conforms to the track. Look at the way it rotates around this. Absolutely masterful stuff. So just a small little handful of adjustments as we catch up to CQMBR. Both he or they and LSRD Design, I don't know. These names are too confounding to me. Both go into the pits, and we basically just maintain a dominant lead throughout the rest of the race. Catch up to a few ghostly back markers, and essentially just do what offline hot lapping degens like me love to do, just lap by ourselves, car and track. And there we go, our second ever win here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I liked having this kind of upward refinement as we look at these beautiful 911s on the podium, right where they belong, if you ask me and Manti. Andre, so happy that he phases out of existence, and me once again with my refined celebration here, myself, LDR Design, and the Invisible Man celebrate for our second podium of the day. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.